the time we were releasing it, I didn't know that Mean Girls the musical was coming out right after we wrote it. We sent it into my label and they were like, we have to get this out now. They're like, we have to get this out before the movie. They're like, we're gonna see if they can put it in. They didn't. Oh no. The only other route that I have ever been told as a child that I was interested in was I wanted to be a pink firework when I got older. So I figured out that wasn't possible. And so music was really my only option. There is a level of like, I have to send it to my sister and my other brother who doesn't do music. And my parents are like, does this sound like a song to you? And I don't tell them which one. And they're like, no, I think you're good. Or sometimes they're like, hey, that's straight up a song that's already written. I'm like, all right, we're throwing it in the trash. Got it. But I had never performed my own songs like that live. And it was the coolest feeling ever. I remember distinctly, like, I got full goosebumps down my body, and it was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I've been in 300 view jail for 2 years. Like, anytime a guy is like, you know, I can't watch Love Island, I'm like, you literally do. What sports do you watch? I can point it out for you.
All the coupling and recoupling is just trades in the NBA.
Truly, exactly. You're right on with that.
She has almost 70,000 Spotify monthly listeners. You may know her from her song Mean Girls, and her newest release, Left Right, has been one of my favorite TikTok music discoveries. Caleigh, welcome to the podcast. Or
Thank you
Callie,
so much.
sorry, we were just talking about this, and that's why I was
That's
that's why
okay.
it got in my head. I was like, I thought Callie, I had Callie, and then you were like,
I
yeah,
made you second
people,
guess it. That's on
yeah,
me.
it's all right, it's all right. Um, but yeah, so I mean, like I said there, I discovered you from a TikTok promoting your song Left Right, which I love. Like back when like Billie Eilish started getting big, I love that like kind of bass pop sound, which I feel like this song absolutely crushes. So just tell me about like the making of Left Right and like all the promotion you've been doing behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much. You also just kind of hit the right points for me. I'm a huge Billie Eilish fan, so I appreciate that so much.
Awesome.
Um, the making of Left Right, man, I don't want to dox anyone or anything, but I was going through a situation with an ex-boyfriend, and I called my brother and I was like, I'm having all this pent-up energy, and I need to get it out, and I need another woman to be in the room who will understand what I'm feeling right now. And so we kind of Left Right just came really quickly to us. It was one of our faster writes that we've done. Also, to clarify, I write a lot of my music with my brother,
Mhm.
Christopher, and then my other brother, Kobe. And so we got in the room with
Also like Billie Eilish.
it's great. I got two Phineases. It's amazing. Um, but we got in the room with me and my brother Christopher, and then a girl named Gray Ziegler, and my producer Austin Bianco. And we started writing, and it just came really quickly to us. And so I sat on that song for a year, and I thought about the name drops, and really it was like, okay, do I want to be real with this? Do I want to put this out? This is bold.
Yeah.
And we decided to just jump right in. And I'm glad that we waited kind of a year after we wrote it so that I could maybe rein it in a little bit when it came to promotion while still being true to my story and the intense emotions that came with that. But yeah, and so I think the trends have kind of just come naturally with that, where there's just a couple lines that we were like, I feel like people will love this because I love it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of Left Right.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So, cause, like I mentioned, I saw it from that, or actually, I was gonna get into another question, but I just thought of a completely different one. Sitting on it for a year, it, like you mentioned, it seems like a very like vulnerable song, talking about like feelings of the breakup. How did like, and I wouldn't have known that it t took a year to come out. Like it seems like a very spur of the moment, like honest thought kind of writing. How did you like keep that vulnerability while sitting on it for a year?
Yeah, I think anybody that's kind of been in a situation where you've been cheated on or it's been a messy breakup, I for me it was pretty easy to tap right back into that. I think this, believe it or not, is the reined in version of me after
Okay.
being healed for a year. Um,
Just
but
dropping full government names in the original version.
really, so we didn't name the last name, so that's cool. But yeah, I think it comes pretty naturally to me. Our timeline on songs, because we write so many, a lot of times gets delayed in when we release them. So it when I play my music live or when I'm, promoting it and stuff, I write from a very intense emotional state. Usually that's where I funnel my energy into when I
Hmm.
don't know where else to put it, or when it's probably in everybody around me's best interest for me to put it into a song instead of other things. Um, so I think in general, it's pretty easy for me to usually tap back into that or tap into a new meaning of the song for me.
Yeah, awesome. So I was gonna get into like with left right. I discovered it from one of your TikToks, like showing someone in the car,
True.
and um and then I've like while prepping for this gone into your TikTok, seen a bunch of promo for It Wasn't Me. How do you see like all these videos and all this like social media promotion helping releases or the effects it has?
Yeah, I mean, in the music industry today, it's so important. The whole music industry has shifted since, TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts have become a thing. And I think most artists will probably relate to the feeling of sometimes you don't want to do the whole TikTok thing, or you're like, man, I just want to do a live show, but that process is really important. And where sometimes it can be hard, it's also a really cool way to connect directly with your fans in ways that if you are a small up and coming artist and nobody knows and you can't necessarily go on these huge tours where you can see them in person, it's a really cool way to connect with the people listening to your music. And it's definitely some world building. I mean, I've been posting on TikTok consistently for I think 3 or 4 years now. So it took quite a while of trial and error of seeing like how do I get this in on the right people's pages, and how do I make this better, and how do we, improve the things I'm trying to say or stuff like that. But I think, it's super important, and I'm really grateful for the opportunities that TikTok has given me. I mean, even this podcast, it's
Yeah.
I don't get that often without it. So I'm really
Yeah.
grateful for it.
Yeah, I think it's cool that like TikTok or like social media promotion is now kind of the new because it used to be all about like CD sales and like playing live shows of like 5-person clubs and bars to like building it up and now it's like when you post a video and it gets like only a couple hundred views that's your new like small club like just the
Yep.
people who see it and then you can go viral and that's like a digital stadium kind of
Absolutely. Absolutely. The
yeah
300 jail of it all.
yeah, exactly. And so with like just some more of your songs in general, Mean Girls, which I mentioned in the intro, just tell me about the process of making that, what went into it, anything like that.
Yeah, so we, my brother and we were in the studio with my producer Austin, and sometimes we come in with an idea, sometimes we come in kind of clean slate. But I was kind of processing some stuff that had happened to me in this friend group I was in um, a few years later after kind of the fallout of it all. And I was going through my notes app I have a note in my notes app of just all my song ideas that is just, if it is not for the public to ever see because it is messy. But
That's
I
fine. At
saw
least
this.
it's all together. I just have like I'll think of a like song name idea and it's its own note and just like those two words. And then I find it like a month later and I'm like, what is going on here?
Literally, I had to consolidate a lot of it for sure. It was a while of me doing that, and I was like, I can't
Okay.
find this. But yeah, I've had the title Mean Girls written down, and I just wrote it into the Google Doc we were working on. And my brother Christopher was like, "Wait, that's kind of sick." And I was like, "You think so?" Because when I wrote it down, I was like, maybe like they're gonna think this is basic, like maybe it's overdone, like a lot of people deal with this, so it's probably just nobody wants to hear it. But I think the song actually ended up showing me a lot of the times that I'm feeling like, well, this is just basic. A lot of times it's relatable, and that was cool to find out that well, not cool to find out that a lot of people have experienced that, but that people, saw me and kind of understood where I was coming from in that. And then it just kind of worked out that the time we were releasing it, I didn't know that at the time, Mean Girls the musical was coming out right
Mhm.
after we wrote it. So we sent it into my label, and they were like, "We have to get this out now." They're like, "We have to get this out before the movie." They're like, "We're gonna see if they can put it in." They didn't. Oh no, but
I feel like that at that point, that's like
it
at
was way
least
too
from
late.
what I've heard with movie timelines, that's like everything's all set and done. Like
It was
you can't
done.
do anything that quickly. They have it done like months before like they even start like really
There
promoting
was
or
no
months
shot of
before it comes out.
that.
Yeah.
We're a bit ambitious on that end for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And so I like was reading up a bit more about you and read that also your first release, Black Sheep, also another one of your more popular songs, came after your time at an inpatient treatment. What made that like feel like a good time to drop your first release or drop music?
Yeah. So I had been writing a lot before that and I'd been taking trips to Nashville and kind of just getting in the studio with my brother and his friends, and I don't know why they let me as like a 15-year-old, but they just let me for a couple years come in and just lay some stuff down and it was really cool. But we had been working on music, and around 2020, 2021, I was going through a lot mental health wise, and that's when I checked in two different inpatient facilities. And so I got out and then I graduated high school and I was like, well, what do I do now? Because like a lot of people go to college, but I hate school, so you don't want to do that. So I was like, you know what? Let's just like try out the music thing. I was working as a host in a restaurant, and one day I like got sent home because they didn't need me, and so I was ready and I was like, let's just like make a TikTok to Black Sheep because we had written that pretty shortly after I had gotten out of treatment, and the video started to get some traction almost like a year to the date of when I got out of that second inpatient facility, which kind of felt like, okay, this is like a sign. This needs to be put out there. And it worked out really, really beautifully where, it got some traction online and people related to it a lot. And it was a really cool first song for me to put out because I think it was the lyricism in it was kind of the core of what I was trying to say there of, laying the groundwork of who my music is for. And it's for the people that feel like the black sheep and like they stand out or they don't fit in or their journey has maybe been a little bit ugly at times. So it kind of just worked out perfectly on that front, which is funny because I
Yeah.
hated the song when we first wrote it, but then it grew on me.
I feel like I hear that a lot with like all the biggest artists. They're like, yeah, the song almost didn't make the album, and so we put it out as a single, and then it blew up, and it's like the song from the album.
Yeah, I hated it when we wrote it, and then I took a nap, and then I was like, oh, actually, it's okay. I like it.
And it's okay. Maybe we'll do this. So you mentioned there, like working a job and putting music out, which like not fully I relate to, but I'm in college and like trying to, start a career in music, so I have that some sense of like balancing that. Just how do you go about balancing the two things and like finding time for the music?
Yeah, so I've done both. I took a year where I did just music, and now I'm working a job as well, like in a restaurant, which is
Mhm.
kind of just the name of the game. But I think it actually surprisingly has been really helpful for me when it comes to my creative process and also with just motivation where it's you have less time, so you have to get it done. And you have, like I
Mhm.
have these hours, I have to get it done in these hours. And if I don't, I'm not going to get anywhere. So it's helped on the time management front, but also more than that, I think it's really kept my humanity in check, and it's given me more stories as well to write about because when you're just isolated in your little music bubble, you kind of lose touch with what's going on in the world and real people and real connections that you probably wouldn't make otherwise. You get comfortable with your friend groups and stuff, and you interact with so many people, especially in restaurants, where I think it's really honestly helped my creative process and kept me humble and kept me human, which I am very grateful for, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And
Very
and
cool.
then just the last kind of like I guess overly music thing that I want to focus on is just like again kind of playing into promotions like Spotify playlist, Spotify editorial, which you've been placed on a couple like new pop picks, things like that. How have you seen that affect your streams or career? Does it give you a little bump, or is it more of like a kind of like accolade, like achievement kind of thing to just like put on your resume?
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely does give you a bump. For sure.
Okay.
Mean Girls got New Music Friday, which was amazing for the song because also it's just the coolest thing ever. Like
Yeah.
that's just awesome. I was geeked. I was jumping around in my bedroom and I was like, no way. But I think I cried actually. But
Fair
it's
reaction.
it's super helpful in terms of numbers and things like that. But also just getting you in front of an audience that you might not otherwise be in front of. However, I definitely think it's possible without it. Left Right is actually one of my first singles that didn't get a single playlist, editorial wise, like, which, we were really hoping for. And when it initially it didn't, we were like, man, like this sucks. But it's been really cool to see that you don't necessarily need that, where, we were
Mhm.
able to break, I think we're at like 150,000 streams on it right now, just from people who like the song and have been really supportive. So I think it helps a lot. And if you're at Spotify and you're listening, I love you. Please keep doing that. But I, uh, I think it helps, but I think that there's ways to do it without it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Spotify, put Left Right on an editorial and keep the streak up of Cali songs that have made it to a Spotify editorial.
We love you.
And so just diving a bit more like into you talked a bit about like starting off with music, going to Nashville, all these things. What was it kind of clear to you from the start that like you want to do music, or were there any other careers you were considering? Like what was kind of the moment that it all coalesced and you're like, music, I want to pursue this?
Yeah, so I was always kind of a musical child. Like my mom makes jokes that I could sing the ABCs before I could say the letters. Um, but I mean, the only other route that I have ever been told as a child that I was interested in was I wanted to be a pink firework when I got older. So I figured out that wasn't possible. And so music was really my only option. I think I wrote my first song when I was 9, and I was like, "Yep, this is my thing. I'm not doing anything else." And that would be my fun fact. And like in grade school, when they ask what's your fun fact about you, it's like I make music, and they were like, "Okay, whatever." But yeah, it's kind of always been music for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. And then for anyone else, maybe in that like early, doing writing trips stage, just what tips or advice would you give to new artists coming up or new songwriters?
Yeah, so a lot of people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think that is important. However, I think it's more about your mindset going into it. Like I said, my older brothers both went to college for music, and so I saw that route and how helpful it was when it came to the knowledge of things for them. But for me, that just it didn't work for me, and so I really had to learn a lot from the people around me. And so I think for up and coming artists, one of the things I would say is, stay humble and be willing to listen. Don't die on hills that you don't need to die on. And when there's somebody better than you in the room, it's important to listen and stay humble in that sense of things. But also another thing that I've said to my brother a lot is, it's not always that you don't have the talent. So don't get discouraged on that. It's just really like people aren't in your walls, so they don't know that you're there. You're gonna find your audience, you're gonna find your people, and it might take 4 years of posting every single day and staying in that 300 view jail. It might take 4 days. It's different for everybody, but I think just keep putting yourself out there is probably my biggest advice. And just listen to people that are better than you and pay attention, whether that's people you know personally or watching interviews of your favorite artists of how they made it where they were and seeing if you can learn from that in any way. But I think that's a jumbled way of my best advice for
Yeah, no
artists.
worries. Are you a music artist looking to get your songs on Spotify, Apple Music, and basically every other streaming platform? Then you should check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution service. It's what I use to get all my music out across platforms, and I find it really helpful. You can manage your songs, lyrics, credits, and even manage releases across artists under one account. I don't think I would have gotten started as early as I did with music if it weren't for DistroKid. So if you want to get started, I'll put their pricing on the screen here. And yes, that does say the cheapest plan is at $2 a month. I know some of you spend more than that every day on your coffees. Like this is to get your music heard by the world. But we're getting off track. DistroKid has so many additional features like pre-save pages, getting your music onto platforms like Instagram and TikTok, where people can put your music on their posts. If you use my link in the description, you will get 7% off any of these plans, making it even cheaper to get your career started, and so much more. So again, check out my link in the description for 7% off any plan. And now let's get back to the episode. Not in a judgmental way and all, but if you didn't go to college for music, like what did you go for? Did you finish, drop out? Just like what was your kind of education like outside of music?
I didn't go at all.
Okay, okay.
I
Not
barely graduated high school, to be clear. I dropped out like twice. It was for me, it was never the schoolwork, it was just the environment. I hated the
yeah.
box. And so I didn't go at all, but my brothers did, and so I was like, tell me everything you know, please.
Which I mean works. Like,
Yeah.
and you kind of and I also know people who like did go for music but got kind of one some of the knowledge they needed, but more just like building connections and then had enough of a foundation to start a career and we're like, okay, like I've gotten what I need from this. I don't need the rest of the years here. Like I can drop out comfortably, which is always awesome and there's no shade towards that. But if anything, that's great for whatever college or university they went to. It's like they prepped you
Yeah.
even faster than 4 years.
For sure. I think it makes things probably easier in a lot of ways where you're getting an explanation on things that you wouldn't otherwise. And so, and I've seen that with my brothers as well. I keep talking about them, but they my producer that I work with on pretty much all of my stuff, Austin Bianco, he was my brother's like college friend. And so when he got out of college was when we kind of he brought me into the picture. But
Mhm.
yeah, college can be super, super helpful and I think is probably more convenient in terms of learning things, but I think you can do both, you know?
Yeah, awesome. Well, and then just one last music question that popped into my head after saying that. Austin, like being your producer and taking the time on left, right, where did the production side of it come in? Was it like the songwriting first and trying to make that instrumental around it, or just take me to like the musical creation process of that song?
Yeah, so we kind of every song we write is different. Sometimes the song starts where we'll bring in like a full like, hey, we wrote this on piano. Like It Wasn't Me was that way. We brought in kind of this piano little bossa nova thing that we wrote and posted on, and it got a tiny, tiny bit of traction. We were like, hey, maybe we could finish this. But majority of the time, if I'm in just a strictly studio session, or maybe not majority of the time, a lot of the time when we're in a studio session, we're kind of working simultaneously. So we'll kind of start to lay down. I think with left right, it was just that bass line, like the do 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 do.
Yeah.
We just kind of built off of that and started writing over just these little tiny pieces of things that he was adding in, and it just built into something bigger and bigger. And then the big grungy guitars that you hear, actually, my guitar player Matt Kennedy's, he ended up adding those in, I think, like 2 weeks before we released the song. So it's in the actual studio session, it usually starts small and we're kind of just working simultaneously.
Awesome, awesome. And do you like find or take inspiration in these sessions, or are you trying to like block it out and keep it as original as possible?
Yeah, I think early on I was trying to, you think that you're just the most original and profound person ever. But absolutely, like there's times where we'll bring in a reference track and be like, hey, I love this song. How do we make a song in this realm? Or I love these 5 songs. How do we marry the sound of this in the track to something that we want to make that's still original and not ripping it off? But we absolutely take inspiration on things. I think Devin again is an artist that I love that was a huge inspiration on my song Jinx. That's the title track of my first EP. I listened through her EP and I was like, I have to make a song like this. I'm obsessed with her. I love her. But so yeah, we use inspiration a lot, but not always. Sometimes it just comes naturally.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like it is a little maybe it's some kind of form of imposter syndrome, but like I feel like when you're involved in the creation of a song, when you get that look behind the curtain of like using samples or having a reference track, like taking inspiration, it's so clear to you. So you're like, oh my God, people are gonna hear this and they're gonna know right away that I use this reference track or whatnot. Whereas like if someone's actually listening to it for the first time without seeing, the logic
Mhm.
project of it or whatnot, like they're just gonna take it as like its own thing, kind of original, and maybe it reminds them of some other song, but some
Mhm.
maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe it's a complete different song than what you were actually referencing. Like I feel like there's
Absolutely.
no pressure to like start from scratch and do it all yourself.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. And I think it's, we all take inspiration from somebody, whether it's fully taking like a couple tracks in and saying, let's make them sound like this, or just we grew up listening to somebody and it just naturally comes out. But it definitely, there is a level of like, I have to send it to my sister and my other brother who doesn't do music. And my parents are like, does this sound like a song to you? And I don't tell them which one. And they're like, no, I think you're good. Or sometimes they're like, hey, that's straight up a song that's already written. I'm like, all right, we're throwing it in the trash. Got it. Sometimes you don't even realize it and you're like, I
Yeah.
it was already written.
Yeah. Yeah. Happens.
Happens.
Um, and so I guess like just for you, I mean, I discovered you from Left Right. I love Left Right, but if there's someone else like just hearing about you for the first time, what song would you recommend as like an intro to Cali and something to kind of get them into your music?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I love them all so much. I don't know if I can pick one in particular. I think Left, Right, and It Wasn't Me have really kind of built the foundation for really we found my sound around the time that we wrote those. So I think those are great places to start. I do think like a deep cut that I don't think a lot of people know about is my song Crutch that's on my first EP. Um, but that song is really kind of just my heart and soul out there talking about stuff I really care about, which is mental health. And so yeah, I would say one of those three would be where I would suggest starting.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. Well, I haven't heard Crutch, but I'll take that as a note to go back and listen to it because I've loved what I've heard so far from
Thank
you.
you so
So
much.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned it in some context earlier with like live shows. Have you gotten to perform live yet with your music? And if so, what was it like your first live show like?
Yeah, so I have not as much as I'd like. I love live
That's all
shows
right.
so much. I've only actually done two shows to date, but I have one coming up at the end
Okay.
of August. But I my first show I ever did was I was opening for my friend Megan Chen, who I went to music camp with, which was fun, like freshman year of high school. And it was just in this little venue in Indy where I'm from. And I had grown up kind of, we sang in church and stuff. And so I knew how to be on a stage, but I had never performed my own songs like that live. And it was the coolest feeling ever. I remember distinctly, like, I got full goosebumps down my body. And it was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I've been in 300 view jail for 2 years. Like, it was the coolest thing ever. People were so supportive and singing back words to me that I didn't think that they would know, or people that were just learning it were giving me some energy in the crowd that was awesome. And I got to meet a lot of people after the show, which was really cool. And I did a show in Nashville, my first headline show in Nashville. That was really fun because that's not my hometown, and I got to meet some really cool people there as well. But it was just electric. I live for that. I love live shows. I cannot wait to do another one. I finally have one planned for end of August, so I'm very excited for that. But yeah,
Awesome.
I love it.
Where's that one?
So
If
it's
you
gonna
could say.
be at a place called Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis on August
Awesome.
29th. It's actually the place I did my first show. So it's
Awesome.
my going away show, kind of before I move. After I move, I'm coming back to do my going away show back at kind of the place that it all started. So I was like, you know what, why not come back to where this began for me and kind of pay homage to that. But
Yeah. Yeah, no, it sounds like it's gonna be awesome. So
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Yeah. And so like you mentioned like I feel like we keep coming back to the whole social promotion 300 views
Yeah.
jail conversation and yeah, I mean with your advice to like keep going, I think it's super important. Like don't let it get you down. There's always like the break of like some video randomly pops off and does well. But through those years of like posting to a couple of hundred views, was there a moment that you really like just kind of question your like strategy or like if it was going to work, quote unquote.
Every day, every single
Okay.
day. For sure. I think that applies to most musicians with even beyond social media, but especially on social media every day. It's like, it's the highs and lows of, one day you'll have a video get 3 million views and you're on top of the world. And then it's like, okay, we're back to 300 again. What's going on? But it's highs and lows in that. But I think, yeah, there's been many times where I've been like, man, am I doing the right thing? Am I cut out for this? But I think it's important to remember you're building a world and you're not just building a viral video. It's a world that you're creating for people to become a part of and to immerse themselves in. And that can be really exciting, but it can take a long time to build.
Mhm. Is just out of like curiosity of this point because I looked into your TikTok where I discovered you from, but haven't and like kind of took a quick look at Instagram and didn't like go through a bunch of it like I did with TikTok, do you have any certain platform that's like your favorite or you kind of post the most on?
I'm definitely partial to TikTok. So TikTok's
Yeah.
what's given me most of my opportunities, and so I'm very grateful for TikTok. Recently, Instagram has been and YouTube. I'll give some love to YouTube as well. I love you, YouTube. But I also, especially for podcasts, I watch so many
Yeah.
podcasts on YouTube. It's crazy.
Me too. I'm just like catching up on all of them. I had like a whole like
Truly,
playlist of ones I've been meaning to get to.
truly, I'm a YouTube viewer, I think, more than anything. But I think I'm partial to TikTok, but I found some more success on Instagram as of late. But yeah, TikTok's just been a really cool community for me, and it's gotten me most opportunities that I have right now and that are coming up. And yeah, it's really cool. Even like TikTok lives were a way for me to kind of scratch the itch of a live show without, maybe having the budget or
Awesome.
things like that for it. So I love TikTok. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Are those TikTok lives like you performing to the camera or that's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
so 6 months ago, I kind of started that where I wanted to do live shows, and my team was like, like we want to, but the budget's hard to get, and it's really hard to put together, and you have to rehearse and do all this stuff. And I was like, okay, like I'll wait a little longer, but I was like, this was a way that I could kind of do a live show for people and talk to my fans directly. That was a way to scratch that itch for me, and it's been really cool to build that community and see the same names and faces coming back. I have my OGs, and I love them so much, and yeah, it's been really, really cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. You want to get on these TikTok lives so you can be in the one of those I knew Cali when people.
Callie's Corner, we got
Callie's
it.
Corner. I love that. Um, just in terms of like, or one more thing on social media, I was saying like I for the longest time was kind of just like I don't know, blanket posting. Like if I made a video, I'd post that video to all my platforms and whatnot, and just like put it out there for everyone to see. And I think now I'm trying to calibrate a bit better on like, okay, TikTok will be like for hopefully discoverability, like
Mhm,
videos, like people who haven't heard of me get to see my face, my name, like doing whatever. Instagram is more like if you already know me, you follow me, like I'll give you updates, like let you know what's going on.
mhm,
And so like I think that's kind of, at least for me, made things work a bit better and also just like relieve some of the stress of like and monotony of just like taking one video and posting it through
mhm.
the TikTok like process and the Instagram process and the YouTube shorts. And so like yeah, it's a lot of, a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into
It
all that.
is. It is a lot jumping between them all. It's the bane of my existence sometimes, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just like in for you, and I know it's hard to choose to, so feel free to have multiple answers, no answer, but is there a song of yours that's like your favorite, whether it's to listen to, the writing, anything like that?
Yeah, so released wise, I'm gonna go back to Crutch. So I have a tattoo for Crutch. So
Awesome.
it was kind of funny when it was like the lowest performance. I was like, man, well, I mean, at least it's tattooed. But I think Crutch, man, it was a really cool writing process, and I was kind of in the thick of what I was dealing with mental health wise when we wrote it, and it was a very unconventional style of the way that we wrote it. Like we were just kind of sitting on a couch together. It was a night write, which isn't normal for us. And it was with my two brothers and then our friend Jordan, and I think Crutch for me is one of my most special songs that's released, where I just feel like you kind of hear more of my intention and my heart and kind of the, I guess, villain origin story of why you hear these very intense emotional songs, whether they're super angry breakup songs or whatever. But I think
Yeah.
it kind of laid the groundwork for, hey, I can be this angry, like,
Going a bit deeper with the other
but
songs.
I
Yeah.
have another side to me as well that is kind of where these big emotions come from.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have many tattoos or like is it just like mostly that one like
It's mostly
or
that one. I have one here that's a 24.
okay.
It's a another 24 has kind of become my thing. It actually, sorry, you're getting a big story out of this, but
No, no, no problem.
in my first treatment center before I had gone there, I was really depressed. I couldn't get out of my bed or really do anything. And I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. I was just kind of a shell of a person. But the one thing I could do every day was I went and watched the sunset. So when I went to my first treatment center, it was in this ranch in Arizona, and I finally got my green band, which meant I could go outside, which was really exciting. And I went to go watch the sunset that I was really excited that I could finally do again. And I found this outlook that overlooked this mountain range, and a group of my friends that were in there with me were all quiet when I walked up and shushing me, which I was like, that's kind of rude. Like, what's going on here? I just wanted to join, but
Yeah.
they explained to me every day they would come out and they would watch the sunset. And when the sun kind of hit the top of the mountain range, they'd say a moment of silence for the ones we love, the ones we lost, and the ones that are still suffering. And they stayed quiet till it went all the way down below the mountain. And then we'd cheer congratulations on another 24 and break that silence. So another 24 has kind of become my thing. And I want to start a nonprofit with it one day. But just a way to celebrate, every 24 hours that you make it on this earth, whether you're battling something, whether you're grieving, whatever it is, it's been kind of my reminder every day that when I see the sunset or when I see the moon, we made it. That's sometimes the best you can do is just live another day, and that's okay. And so yeah, another 24, that one, it's there. So when I'm holding a microphone, you can see it. But that's one of my favorite tattoos just because it's very visible, and that's kind of my life's purpose in that one for sure.
Yeah.
A
No,
few others, but they're less interesting.
that's all right. No, I love that story. I think it's so important. I'm big on mental health. My
Mhm.
favorite band, 21 Pilots, years ago kind of
Uh,
became my favorite band because they were the first ones that I would hear like make music about that kind of stuff, and I was like, whoa, mu music can have like actual impactful meaning to it, and not
yes,
not just like
yes.
the surface level pop you get.
I
And
remember
so I
that.
love
It
it.
was
Yeah.
epic. I was a huge 20. I still love them, but I was a huge 21 Pilots fan,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
totally relate to that.
So I'm sure you know on like kind of the opposite end of the sunset they have that line, the sun will rise and we will try again. And I
Yes,
have that up on
yes.
my wall as just like a good reminder that like if you have a bad day, it's kind of like take a breath, shake it off, and then tomorrow
It's still gonna rise.
be different.
No, that song is everything. I was obsessed with that song for the longest time. I love that.
Hey heroes, sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode.
This is kind of a existential question, but feel free to
Favorite.
answer it however you want, which is what kind of level do you want to reach with your music? Is it just like, being able to do it full time, getting to the massive stadium shows? Like what's kind of the end goal for the
Yeah.
career?
I think if you asked me a year ago, my answer would have been, these big grandiose numbers and selling out these huge arenas. And I still would love to do that. I would
Yeah.
love to, play arenas and stuff like that and get to that point where we're doing this full time. And mostly, honestly, my main goal is touring. But I think the last year specifically has been really humbling for me in a lot of ways. And I've learned a lot, and it's been eye-opening to where I've kind of shifted my viewpoint on that, where it's not always just these giant numbers. It's about reaching the right person, not everyone.
Yeah.
Because, my music might not be for everybody. And I think if it reaches the right people and, the people that understand what I mean when I'm in these angry spouts, but I'm also then jumping between that and these big emotional songs or these songs that don't really have a ton of meaning. They're just an escape. So I think my biggest goal is just finding my people and finding the people that need it and that are like me and
Yeah.
understand. But still an arena would be sick. But my my
Yeah.
main thing is that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I forget what the number was because I heard this like years ago, but it was someone talking about like everyone's so obsessed now with like, however many like millions of followers or like Spotify listeners you have or whatnot, or like the huge like stadium tours all the biggest artists are going on, but they were like looking at like living like a comfortable life, you need I think the number was something like 10,000 like
Thousand
true
real
like
fans.
yeah,
Yes,
that okay, yeah,
yes,
that's it. 10,000 like true like diehard fans who are gonna spend
yes.
money on you. They're gonna get merch, they're gonna get tickets, things like that.
Mhm.
And like that's all you really need. So you need 10,000 real fans, not, like 100,000 like people who are like I'll listen to you but like don't really know you on
Don't
like a fan
care. Let's
level.
just
Yeah.
scroll past after that. Yeah, exactly. That's everything. And honestly, like going back to the TikTok live thing, that was really a big testament to that for me, where I really saw that in real time, where it was like there was a point where I was doing these lives and getting like thousands of people to stay in, and then TikTok got shut down, and then I came
Yeah.
back and it was to like 14, but then the ones that had those 14 people in it, it's the same 14 people. Like I know their first and last name, I know their faces, I know
Yeah.
their stories, and that was the first real testament to that in real time for me, where I was like, dude, it's not about these crazy numbers. It's about the real people that really care about you and who you are and the message you're sending out. So I agree.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I so believe in that.
Awesome. For a couple more like kind of hypothetical like dream questions to start wrapping things up here. If you could make a song with any artist in the world, who would you want to collaborate with?
Whew.
And
Goodness.
like all these, feel free to have multiple answers. I know it's
I
hard to just narrow down to one exactly.
I want to say Billie Eilish, but I actually think that I can never meet her because she's like my hero, and you're not supposed to meet though. Like I love her
Yeah.
so much. I don't know if I could act right where I'm like, I don't want you to know who I am because if I don't do something right, I can't handle that. But in a dream world where I could keep myself calm, that but Paramore, I'm a huge Paramore fan. Would be a huge one. I don't I know that they keep going kind of in and out, but I love Paramore. I'm a huge Phineas fan as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Switchfoot, but
I've heard of them. Um, I
they're You
forget.
to
One of my
Move, one of
cousins
their
showed
big
me one of their
ones.
songs. I forget which song it was though. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were super instrumental to me growing up. There's actually the guitars in Left Right. We took a lot of inspiration from one of their albums. And they're a huge one. John Bellion has been a big deal for me. And then obviously all the pop princesses. I love them all, like Olivia
Yeah.
Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, Renee Rapp, all of those guys. But anyone, but really,
Yeah.
really those
If
are.
any of those names are listening,
If you're listening, I'm available. But yeah, no, I love collaborations, and those are just some of my favorite people that I love listening to. So one
yeah.
of
I
the
mean, so many of those are like crossovers with me. I love Phineas, John Bell, and
love.
Billie Eilish definitely. But yeah, and I'm loving seeing John Bellion on this latest like run for
Yes.
the new album, like come back to solo music and
Did you
just
see
like
his super long It was like a 2 or 3 hour podcast that he did talking about the music industry.
which what I saw his Zach Sang show one, and then I think he had I think his with and the writer is, which is like 2 hours
Yeah, yeah,
long,
yeah.
it's in that playlist of podcasts I need to catch
Yes.
up on. So I've been
So
meaning to
good.
watch that one.
So good. I listened to the whole thing on a drive back from Nashville. His take is just awesome. I love him.
So, yeah, yeah, and because he's so like transparent now and just
So
like
good.
truly he's reached that level where he's like big artist size with like a small artist mentality, and he's
Mhm.
like there's no reason to like make this a competition. Like I'm gonna spill all the secrets. I'm just gonna
Yes.
spend my own money, do this myself, and like yeah,
It's
hope it
huge in
goes
the
well.
industry. Like we need more of that. He is somebody that is just like an inspiration to really keep your head on straight. Like if I can keep my mentality the way that he's been able to, I will come out of this a lucky woman for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And then like for wanting to play more live shows and getting started with live shows, do you have a bucket list of like venues or festivals you want to play?
Yeah, of course. Festival wise, any of them, like the huge ones, Coachella, Bonnaroo, Lala, Rock
Hmm.
and Rio, like, and I will do any show basically. But More venue wise, Gainbridge Fieldhouse that the Pacers play at, which
Yeah.
by the way, we got robbed, and I cried for 2 days. But besides the point, I grew up going to my favorite artists, in Gainbridge, which it's had many names, but that's one of my huge goal bucket lists. Just it would be the coolest thing ever. Like I get goosebumps at shows there a lot just to think about how
Mhm.
cool that would be. But also more than that, the smaller venues that I've really liked or have been my favorite shows I've been to. There's a place called Egyptian Room in Indianapolis that I've seen some of my favorites. Like we saw Sabrina Carpenter there, Jesse Murph, like
Awesome.
a couple of those. Where, being able to do the shows that are more intimate with your fans, where you can see more of their faces and kind of interact with
Yeah.
them a little bit closer. The Ryman in Nashville would be awesome. I just saw Phineas there a few months back. Any show, but those are some of my favorite venues for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. For sorry, for the Pacers, are you a big NBA person? Because yeah,
I'm a
I,
huge Pacers fan. I grew up going to the games with my dad, and dude, this team was amazing, and
yeah.
I was heartbroken. But I do basketball is the one sport I really know things about, contrary to wearing a hockey jersey. But I can be a hockey fan, if there's hockey fans here. But
Yeah.
basketball's kind of been my sport that I've played along with and carried with. I
Awesome.
played basketball in high school, but we don't talk about that. It was bad, but I love
Yeah.
watching.
Not gonna talk about the years that I thought I was going to the NBA and then was like, I'm shorter than everyone, worse than everyone, put in a fraction of the time, so maybe we
Yep.
find something else.
Maybe we find something else. There's a reason I do music and not sports.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm a big, we were talking a bit before this about how I grew up in LA and I'm from LA,
Yeah.
so I'm a diehard Lakers fan,
Yep.
Lakers since day one, and so we had 2020 and we've been trying to get back from there,
For sure.
but
For sure.
yeah,
No hatred towards the Lakers or
no,
most
absolutely.
teams, maybe a few, but
Yeah, yeah.
I do love
Celtics
the
for me.
NBA. It genuinely is reality TV for the boys, for real. And
Exactly, exactly. It's that
the
and like I somewhat recently mostly from like watching with friends have gotten into surprisingly, which like I bashed on for years, wrestling, WWE,
okay.
which like I was always like I never really got it. I was like
Yeah.
like everyone knows I was like it's scripted, like it's all like over the top and whatnot and I think a little over a year ago, like just a bunch of my friends got together to watch like I think WrestleMania, which is like their like
Yeah.
big event
The
of the
big one.
year, and just like actually like taking it as like pure entertainment, just like
Yep.
no pressure on it was so much fun. And
Reality
that I've
TV.
explained as like reality TV for men. There's like drama,
Literally.
people like beefing in the ring and like getting on the mics to yell back and forth. And I was like, it's genuinely reality TV. It
Yep.
gets messy and there's drama. Like,
Anytime a guy's like, I can't watch Love Island, I'm like, you literally do. What sports do you watch? I can point it out for you. Like you
yeah,
already do.
yeah. It's
But the
it's
girlies
it's
like it too.
all the coupling and recoupling is just trades in the NBA.
Truly, exactly. You're right on with that.
Awesome. Yeah, and then um I'm like trying to go from this fun like NBA Love Island talk back into like music questions and I don't know how to
We'll walk
segue
back
it.
in. Sorry.
Yeah, lock back in. Um just for like songs that you've written like is there a song that you wrote with one meaning in mind and has kind of taken on a new meaning, been attached to new memories, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. I think honestly, most of them,
Okay.
like the timeline on releasing songs sometimes it's like 2 months, but sometimes like some of my songs that were out on my first EP took, I think, 2 years to really put out.
Wow.
But I think there was a moment in time before my headline show in Nashville where I was talking to my older brother and I was like, I don't feel like, lowercase x anymore. Or like I don't feel like I'm not mad at my ex-boyfriend that I dated when I was
Yeah.
14 anymore. Like I don't care. I hope he's great. Like I don't feel these things anymore. And he said this to me, but he was like, it doesn't always have the same meaning for you. These songs are out for life. They're gonna grow and evolve with you and mean different things. And so when we started playing them live, it was they brought a whole new life to them where I felt more of the feeling that I wrote when we wrote the feeling that we wrote it with rather than maybe the story that it was
I
written
got
about.
it. Yeah, I followed him.
Yeah. Lost myself a little. But yeah, it felt like more of kind of the energy that I felt like even with left right even, I was pissed when it happened, to be frank, but like I obviously was not happy when we wrote it, but it's been a year. I've healed a lot now, and it's like, I might not still be pissed about what happened, but I feel angry all the time. Like, I feel super like excited all the time, or I get sad still, and I feel the songs like Over You Over Me, where it's like, yeah, I'm over the ex, but I still feel sad. I still feel like,
Mhm.
I don't get over things, or I have these big feelings that, I sometimes don't know what to do with. So I think playing them live was a big eye opener for me of the way that songs kind of grow and evolve with you as you grow up and you heal and you go through those. They kind of have to,
Yeah.
otherwise you'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to keep playing those songs and not and like accept the changing meaning because there always could be someone in the audience who is just going through like their
Yeah,
ex from a while ago or like anything and that is like freshly in that situation that hears the song and it affects them and so it's important to
absolutely.
keep songs in set lists for shows.
For sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, just the last kind of prepared question, the last question I have for you here today. I'm all in on left, right. You have this show coming up in August, but beyond that, just like what's the next kind of project for you or what's coming up for Cali?
Yeah, so hopefully many more live shows to come. That's part of, I'm moving to Nashville in a couple weeks, and that's part of the goal is
Awesome.
my whole band's down there. And so, we'll have more opportunities to do shows, more opportunities to rehearse. On a releasing music front, we're not stopping pretty much ever, but right now we're working towards a second EP. So we have a new song called Hospital Gowns coming out in a couple weeks, a little bit over a couple weeks, but that's kind of a fun take on my experience with going in and out of treatment. And that one's one that we're really, really excited about. I have a couple songs on this EP that's coming out. I have one in particular called Bathroom Mirror that is really heavy, but is I'm very excited to have out in the world. And I think, it's important that it's talked about, that where we kind of talk about my experience with an eating disorder and stuff like that, and kind of put you in the room with me when I was going through all of that. So, yeah, we have a lot of new songs coming out, but a new EP hopefully in the next couple months that should be out for everybody, and many more live shows to come. Hopefully, many more of these podcasts and things, and
Yeah.
all good things. Just staying in touch with my people, more TikTok lives, more of all of the fun stuff and all of the not fun stuff. We're just all in on this for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate the time learning more about you and your career. I learned so much. I had a great time, and I mean, I no pressure, but any other future releases, if you want to come back on, we can dive into those. I'd love to have you back. Yeah.
Really, dude, thank you so much for the
Awesome.
opportunity. This has been so much fun getting to know you and kind of talking through this. And thank you for, providing a platform for me to share these stories and for what you're
Yeah.
doing for up and coming artists. That's super, super meaningful for people like me and just for other artists. And yeah, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and getting to chat with you a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I have loved doing this with up and coming artists because I mean, including this song, like some of my favorite songs and bands have been
Yeah.
like people I talk to on here that like maybe I can't really bring up to most people that I hang out with,
Uh-huh.
but it's like I found my own little corner of music that I love,
Absolutely.
and I like hopefully kind of like our end goal or like venue talk was like the same way you hope for like big venues. I'm hoping for like bigger artists like the Phineases, the
Absolutely.
John Bellions of the world to like come on
Yeah.
and because this whole show Hero's Journey is about, which I hope I did a good job with you, is like getting into the music, hearing about all that stuff, but then also just like connecting like as a person, like hearing your backstory, what got you into music, everything like that.
No, you absolutely have, and I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to see you kind of evolve and grow too, and good luck to you on all that. I mean, I can see this, it's been a pleasure getting to talk to you, and you ask really great questions, and I
Thank
can
you.
see this exploding for you as well, and hopefully you get that John Bellion placement.
Yeah,
We're
get
rooting
it,
for
get out of that 300 views jail with these
your
clips
reviews.
from
Yeah,
this,
we're
this
gonna make it
podcast.
out.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Caleigh.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.